Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Johnny Disc Golf here, and this time I am joined by Big Money Missy, Miss Missy Gannon. How we doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I've got active construction just mere feet outside my door, so apologies if that comes into the equation at all, but I'm looking forward to some beautifully paved roads here in no time. Question for you, though. How are you? It's the off season. I see the giant check behind you. Are you just living in like existential bliss right now? How's everything? How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I've been pretty distracted, I think, from all of the posts, excitement of winning the Pro Tour Championship. And because we moved down to Pensacola, Florida, actually. We bought a house a few months a long time ago in May. And finally are able to come and move in. So I've been really distracted with trying to furnish the house and doing outside work and all that. So yes, it's been exciting. It's definitely nice to know that I have this little extra money to go into the house, which is nice. So yeah, nothing crazy as far as what I'm going to use the money for, just normal adult type things.
Yeah, that's actually like obviously that prompts the question. You
Mm.
bought the house a little while ago, coming down the stretch. You had a great close of the season. Any connection there, like a big financial investment? You're like, all right, here we go. Ugh, I got to get on the buck here a little bit. Was that on your mind at all coming down?
Maybe subconsciously, I'm always like I always just have such a appreciation for what I'm doing and like where the tour has what the tour has become. And I think that I just have like a gratefulness that'll never go away. And so, I'm kind of like I'm a fighter, I know how lucky I am, and I know that there are so many people that would love to be in my shoes, and love to be doing what I'm doing. And I never take that for granted. So I think, like, yes, there's probably a bit of me that's like, all right, yeah, we're gonna do this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do everything I can, but at the same time, it's just I'm so grateful for the fact that I'm even able to buy a house as a professional disc golfer. I'm proud to say that I'm a professional disc golfer. And
hmm
yeah, so there's just a lot of little things that kind of go into it.
It's so funny, hearing you say that and have those sentiments, all very true, very humble. I love it. I think back to a quote I heard from Paul Macbeth back in like 2015, 2016, where he said, everybody wants to be the beast until it comes time to do what beasts do.
Yeah.
And, yes, everybody would gladly trade to be at the very top of the FPO field or in the mix.
Hmm.
But I don't think a lot of people would do what you did in 2017, 2018, 2019, which is
Yeah.
just grind it out there every single day in not the best living situation, on the
Hmm.
road, campsites. Like, I guess, do you ever reflect on that and just the sheer growth with you,
Hmm.
Tom, the whole situation that you've had over the last 5, 6, 7 years?
Yeah, yeah, all the time. I'm actually really happy that I got that sort of like pre-COVID view of what the disc golf tour life was like. And it was even harder before I joined the tour. But it was certainly like, it's just such a stark contrast to now. And so I'm again, I'm glad that I had that perspective, or have that perspective. And I know what it was like, working that hard and not knowing if I could do another year on tour. And so, yeah, I've always just been like a grinder, and I don't think that's ever going to go away. I don't do quite as much extra stuff now, but I've already done that, right? That's why I did what I did and before, to get to where I am now. And yeah, I'm again like so grateful to have that perspective. And there's still a lot of people grinding now. It's a little tiny bit easier, but there's so many more people playing professional disc golf and trying to get these sponsorships. But unfortunately, I mean, the sport's still growing, but like the pool of money and like the now companies are a little more picky of who they're going to bring on their team. So it's even harder to get like those better sponsorship deals. And so, yeah, again, I'm very grateful for having come into the sport when I did. And, you know, it's afforded me a lot of really cool opportunities now.
No question. So bringing it off of the, grand scheme back to the maybe granular level, you're moved into the house. It's the off season. Are there any like front of mind chores or things that you need to accomplish at the house outside of course, printing wallpaper with that check on it all around the house?
Yeah, this whole room is just going to be this check over and over again. Yeah, there's so many things. I'll literally be doing one thing, like as simple as like organizing the kitchen, and then all of a sudden we're, you know, cutting down a old, you know, tree in the front yard or something like that. So like I just whatever pops in my head, because there's so many things, like whatever I see that I want to get done. And you know, if it's easy to do, I like getting those like quick things out of the way, and then I can sort of, you know, sit down later after dinner and like think about all the bigger things that I want to do. But yeah, there's been a lot. And I mean, I've been pretty gone from social media, and I mean, I was still kind of light on social media towards the end of the year for good reason. I wanted to really focus on what I'm doing. And it's for some people it's easier to do both at the same time, but I think that I just wanted less distraction. So yeah, I'm pretty removed from disc golf right now, but I was going to take a break anyway. And you know, at least like 3 weeks or so. And so, you know, I think so many things are happening that it feels like more time has passed, and it's really only been like a week and a half, which is crazy.
Literally. And like speaking, for myself, I don't know if you share this, but like just doing the everyday normal stuff can be like such a treat for like us who are on the road. I mean, you're obviously on the road more than me. I don't want to compare that, but just like sitting down to a nice home cooked meal in your own kitchen is like such a treat after a long year.
Yes, definitely.
So you guys ended up purchasing a house in Pensacola. That seems to be a pretty common theme for professional disc golfers these days. My question, well, I guess off the top, was there any influence in maybe why you ended up in Pensacola?
I mean, I guess I could say that one of my best friends, Paige Pierce, lives here, and another set of really good friends, Tina and Eric Oakley, live here. And you know, they've just put down some really good roots, and they've you know, I trust their opinions about what, you know, they've grown to really love Pensacola. It's growing. You know, from a financial standpoint, it felt like a really safe investment, because it seems like more and more things are happening here, and the community's building up. So yeah, to have people here that we trust, that have created, you know, really cool roots with the disc golf community, with the you know, all different aspects of the community, and it was easier for us to make that decision.
No question. No state income tax helps.
Yeah.
Several states that applies to. It's on my mind as well. But you're in Pensacola. Paige, Eric, that whole crew. Biggest question I have for the off season though: are you going to Hulen next weekend? It seems like every disc golfer does it.
No, unfortunately, I committed to going, or saying that I was going to go earlier in the year, and because, you know, Paige really, really wanted me to go, and everyone's down there right now. They're actually already there. They left maybe 2 days ago to set up camp, and like I guess that's like the earliest you can get there, and then you can start setting up, and then music starts today, I think. But yeah, so they're all there. I've already FaceTime with them at their camp, and you know, it's like a big disc golf group that are there right now, and it keeps growing every year. So I was gonna try to make the leap this year, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because of all the stuff that's happening with this house. So maybe next year, but they look like they're having a great time already.
I love to see like all the photos from everyone. It's like a official decompression of the disc golf. It kind of feels that way with everybody coming to the Southeast. So the reason for the season, the biggest payout in disc golf history, the $40,000 for the Disc Golf Pro Tour champion. You ended up coming up big, and like we're 2 weeks, you said a week and a half, 2 weeks, 3 weeks out from it. Has the dust settled? Like, where do you feel like this rates as far as your career wins? Is this the biggest? Is this just another in career full of giant wins. How does this sit with you?
I think that I never thought that I would be able to top the 2021 season, like ever. And while I have less wins this past season, with 2 versus 3 from that year, I feel like the overall season has been my best season. I mean, I know that it has, and on average, it has been the best season of my career so far. And so to top it off with also winning the Disc Golf Pro Tour Championships, after knowing that I had such a consistent season, I think was just sort of like, it was like, it just showed me that, I was meant to win this. And it was all building up throughout the year. And it's, I think it's definitely the best season I've ever had.
It's so interesting too for you to have your best season now, and it does feel like every, I guess you said 21 was a little better than 22, but progressively it feels like it's just gone up and up and up, and you perform better and better, given that there are more and more really good players coming from Estonia, Finland, all over Europe. Not only here in the United States, there's just so many more good players. So for you to keep having your best season over and over again, whereas you see a lot of these other pros who were very good for a long time, and now instead of 4th place, it's 7th, and instead of 6th place, it's 9th, and it kind of starts tearing down from there. How do you feel like your game and your career is progressing? Like, where is this pointing to? Are you ever going to stop having the best season of your career?
I hope not, and I think that if you think of the people that have been on top a lot over the last decade, they're pushing their upper 30s, almost 40. And so I'm 34, but I haven't been on tour as long. And, I don't see myself, going down. I think that my trajectory is up. I think that I need to just add maybe a few more skills to my arsenal. Like I'll have Eric Oakley hopefully teach me a little bit better consistent forehand. And, if I can kind of match my forehand to my backhand on a more like granular level of what I feel like I need to work on, I think that I'll have nowhere to go but up, because I think everything else so far in my game is really solid. And I think that having the experience that I've had and, the years that I have had on tour, I think that that's what's creating that consistency. I've got a good routine, and I think about the players like the Hulen Hanleys and the Ella Hansens of the world, that they're already very, very good, but people don't remember that they've only been playing for like 2 to 3 years. So like, that's crazy. So I know that their ceilings are super high, and I know that I have to just continue to push myself and not get discouraged and just do what I can do. And I think what's setting me apart from those players, at least right now, is just, my overall consistency and probably my mental game too. I think that's my strongest suit.
I'd love for you to kind of speak on that a little bit. Just like, we see a lot of these players, and you mentioned Ella and Holland, and so I'll use them specifically, so close to the top, before Throw Pink, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, so close to the top, and then just not quite get over that hump. What separates you, or what have you been able to, how do you settle down? What have you been able to do to get over that hump, and then keep doing it over and over again? Like, compared to the first one now to like the 7th win, how is that different?
Yeah, I think it just goes back to my my gratitude, and just not taking anything for granted, and knowing that if I throw a bad shot, like, it's all okay, it's all good, like, who cares? I care about performing well overall, but I think again, I'm not going to get mad. I know that doesn't help. I think that I've just really have a really good control over my mental game. And I think that that's one of the hardest things to garner. And I think that it's one of the things that a lot of people don't have. And we all have bad days, times of years, whatever time of the week. But I think that, I've been able to figure out ways to kind of overcome that. And now it's just second nature. I don't even have to think about like calming myself down or bringing myself to my happy place. It's just sort of, I'm already in that mode. And, some weeks again are better than others, but for the most part, it stays pretty solid.
Pretty level, pretty even keel. I mean, I think that's the one thing that, at least myself being on site, I always notice is there's not a lot of up, there's not a lot of down. It's kind of just, Missy doing Missy throughout. And if the chips fall in your favor, great. If they don't, that's cool too.
Yeah.
You got a great RV to rock out with 2 dogs. Like it's all good.
Yeah, totally. And I think that like even just like just again, I don't even know what I was about to say. Crap.
Well, let me ask you this. And now that you have I remember when you first started, you were in that little or at least when I first you were in that little teardrop toe behind trailer thing. Then I think the next year it maybe got one bigger, and the next year even got like one bigger than that. And there's kind of been this evolving trait. Now that you have a home that you're, can go back to, are you going to be traveling as heavy as you were in the past? Or are you just maybe going to be like Airbnb in it? Where do you see that? How does that work out?
No, yeah, I still think we're going to keep the whole setup the same and the whole, tour pretty much the same. I think that there are a couple of, we're toying with the idea of like flying to the West Coast. But we haven't really figured that out quite yet. It just might be cheaper to do it that way. So we haven't nailed it all the way down, but I mean, I think with the way the tour is set up in 2024, it's really nice. There's a lot of off weeks. So I'm definitely going to hit almost every tour stop, if not all of them, because it's going to be easier to do. And, I just don't know, how much we're going to fly versus drive, but I think it's going to be pretty much the same.
Last kind of random question on this the check behind you or the most Big Money Missy. It's a nickname that obviously you did not give yourself. No. It has gotten traction though. I think over the last couple years, obviously with you taking down some of the biggest purses in disc golf history. I don't think of like when I think Big Money Missy, that's almost like a hip hop artist that's like into the finer things of life.
Yeah.
That isn't how I think of you though. So how does that nickname resonate with you? Do you like it? Are you rocking it? You wish it would go away? Where do you stand on that?
I think it's cool. I don't even think twice about it. I'm happy that I'm not like, I feel like I need to live up to it. It's just sort of, it keeps happening that way, which is so crazy. But obviously, perfect combination. I've for some reason I'm always maybe again subconsciously extra motivated by more money. I don't know. And again, it could just be like my humble beginnings, like knowing that who knows, it's just a weird coincidence. And I think we have to give Terry Miller maybe credit for that nickname. It might have been back in like Des Moines, my first win, because that was at the time the highest FPO first place payout or something like that, I'm pretty sure. So anyway, that was it's just evolved. It's kind of become like a monster. It's cool because, like you said, you have the McBeast and then you have Raptor legs and now you have Big Money Missy. So it's cool to be a part of that, like that crowd.
The club of having an official nickname. It's also like better than Big Mess Up Missy. I'll take like of all the nicknames, like, all right, I'll take that one.
Yeah, totally.
So sliding kind of into next season a little bit, you said specifically that like the tour was really going to be set up nicely relative to years past, like off weeks and I don't know how you feel about like the geographic layout of the whole thing, but I'm fringing on calling it the Southeastern Pro Tour as opposed to like the Disc Golf Pro Tour. You take a line down the middle of the country and it's like 26 events on this side, 3 events on this side, depending on how the camera's oriented. I don't know how that worked out, but how do you feel about like the layout? You're living in Florida now, so obviously I'm sure you're totally fine with All Stars and the first event being there. But thoughts, theories, opinions.
Yeah, I wish I spent 5 years in Colorado, and I have to credit so much of where I am now to that crew out there. And so, I know that courses are tougher to come by, and that to make them championship level, or to make them feel like they're championship level or whatever. But I wish that I just know how solid those crews are out there. There's so many clubs in Colorado, and I'm just speaking because from experience, but just the fact that there's literally nothing in Colorado or in the surrounding states of Colorado in that western area. So I know that they have the manpower and they have the desire to want to run big events. So yeah, I wish there was more, because like I said, I don't necessarily want to fly out to California, but if it was more financially, if it made more sense financially to drive out to California, it would be because there would be events on the way that I could play. So yeah, and then like, Arizona, I know that we've only ever really seen the Phoenix area, but there's a lot of courses around there as well, up in the mountains too. So I think that would be really cool to incorporate some of those more mountainous courses, or we're lacking a little bit. And I think that I mean, I love the East Coast. I'm from the East Coast. So, I mean, I love wooded golf, and it's kind of affords us more of those wooded courses, being so heavily Eastern based. But I do think that it's definitely not like a US tour. It's a little weighted on the East Coast.
Yeah, it's tough though, because, forever there's always been, the complaint maybe is like using it a lot, but like there's a general opinion that there's too much traffic. Like you're driving 10, 8, 15, 20 hours to these events. It obviously used to be terrible. Every year it's gotten a little bit better, but now it really seems like they're just kind of keeping it into that one little pocket, and you're doing little, like, a U-shaped circle. I'm a California person. I'm born in San Diego. I'm in San Francisco. Granted, we have a tournament next to us, but it hurts a little bit to see all those events over there. Like, Vegas at the start of the year, I didn't hate that. Who hated that,
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that I think they tried to get Vegas to be later. I know it's harder to do because of the golf season out there. But it's a tough one. Yeah. I didn't hate it either. Obviously now, yes, like you said, I live in Florida, so I was pleasantly surprised that change had happened for this coming season. So yeah, I think it's I don't know. I don't know what's holding us back from reaching out or getting more bids in states in the West.
I mean, I think at the small aside on that, I think at the end of the day, there's much more like the West Coast. There's a lot of demand on land, and you just don't have those big sprawling pieces of land to build an awesome course and destination on. It's unfortunate, but I at least take pride in being part of that OTB Open crew and throwing the best event we can, even though the Swenson is what it is. It's not the best course in the world, but I think as a tournament, it rocks, and it's super fun, and everybody has a great time. So I'm super proud of our West Coast representation, as small as it may become over the years. One more kind of topic I wanted to touch on with you. I read an article, or I read a translation of an article from Estonia when Kristen was giving a speech on an Estonian athletes panel, and she was speaking to the fact that, she's on the top of the sport, right? She is the disc golfer right now on the FPS side. It's hard to argue. That kind of is an isolating feeling, though, especially as somebody who's maybe not coming from the United States and is a little intimidating. She's talked about how she doesn't have her group or her crew or her, like, there's not 15 people running up to her like there are other players when they do great things. Could you speak a little bit to the importance of having a community on the road and a group of friends or cohorts or people just to, like, take your mind off of the stresses of being on that course?
I couldn't even imagine, even just in general, trying to compete at a high level while being thousands of miles away from home for extended periods of time. Like, I mean, I know we do that in the US, but it's different, right? I feel comfortable in almost every state, like it just feels normal. So that's one thing I just can't even imagine. But obviously she handles that pretty dang well. But yeah, I think it's just, I'm actually pretty a homebody, especially when we're in competition week. I don't do a lot socially. I've got this. Yeah, I know it's kind of normal too for competitive athletes to kind of get in their own like little zone and be happy with just taking it easy during competition. But leading up to the competition days, it's really nice to be able to get a small crew together, go do an escape room, or go play mini putt, or just make the most of our time out on the road and see more things and go on hikes. And it's definitely a nice release and way to distract yourself from the everyday grind of training. So yeah, I mean, and even for the Pro Tour championship, I am friends with Hulen and Ella, obviously. But I didn't. It's funny because I'm like always expecting Paige to be the one to have the champagne and to run up on me, maybe because it's what happened in 2021. But I had no idea that they were going to come out with 2 bottles and just soak me. Like it took me by surprise. So yeah, it's like these relationships that were continually growing and gaining. And, I think this year alone, like this year specifically, I got closer to Hulen and Ella, not mainly, but partially because, Paige wasn't on tour and she's one of my best buds. So, yeah, it's important to be able to connect with people on tour and, have something else to do besides disc golf most of the time.
No question. It can get, being a professional disc golfer, it's easy to like lose the joy in what we're doing or what you're doing. Even for me on the media side, it can be just a tedious doldrum of the same thing. So I think you hit the nail on the head, like being able to just release a little bit, go play some putt, go to Holden's at D-Glow and putt some balls around is super important. Last thing I kind of wanted to get from you is, do you have any like content recommendations? You're at home. I assume there's some degree of Netflixing and chilling. So like, what's queued up right now? What have you watched? What are you looking forward to watch? Anything at all?
Actually, we're watching the newer. It was just kind of nice because it's like spooky season, but the newer American Horror Story, Delicate, has like Kim Kardashian and all the it's more of all like the stars. It's more like, oh, let's see what this is all about. So that's sort of been something we've been watching towards the end of the season. I like to really watch kind of sports related things. So I watched a lot of documentaries already, but right now we're like catching up on Wrexham. Nice. On Hulu. So yeah, that's a really fun, but also I can kind of connect with the story. And I just love having those perspectives or seeing the perspectives of other athletes, but in like a fun, funny kind of way. And so that's something that we're watching right now as well. But yeah, I haven't really looked. I've been so busy. We literally just got internet yesterday. So like Netflix and stuff have been on the back burner. And I was saying, cause like my like little guilty pleasure snack is popcorn. And like I make it really fancy. I know it's not even guilty, but anyway, I'm addicted to it, and I eat way too much of it at nighttime usually, or whatever. But we've been so busy. I was like, just said to Tom yesterday, I was like, I don't even remember the last time I had popcorn. So anyway, I thought that's just a really funny thing. It's usually like God. the Netflix and the popcorn is like our usual thing, and it just hadn't happened in a while.
Oh my God! Wow, you're like a popcorn fan when you're like marking time by like your last popcorn. Like, oh my God, it's been 3.5 weeks since my last batch. Well, thank you so much. Really, I appreciate your time, your candor, your conversation, Missy. It's always a pleasure. That's about all I have for this interview, though. I wanted to give you a chance to speak to the people at home, though, the fans of Big Money Missy out there. Anything you want to say? Thanks, shout outs, any plugs, anything. The floor is yours.
Yeah, of course. I mean, thank you so much to all the people that tune in every week to Disc Golf Network and that come up to me and say, you know, we love watching FPO. And you know, anybody that just has supported FPO in general, you know, thank you guys so much. And yeah, I apologize for being kind of off the radar a little bit since the win, but yeah, there's been a lot going on, and I do again appreciate everybody. But yeah, and then also my sponsors, Discraft, Grip, Whale Sacks, Good Dog Seltzer, and Ledgestone. They have just been such big supporters of me and have allowed me to do what I do a little easier and not have to grind so hard. So yeah, super appreciative of them. And also thank you for having me on your show.
My pleasure, Missy. Really, always a pleasure. Always a cheerful grin and a bright spot on my day to see you and Tom out in the course for any variety of reasons. But again, that is all I have for this interview. If you at home would like interviews from all of your favorite professional disc golfers, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel.